Hello folks, today is Friday, April 21st, 2023. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. And believe it or not, there's a lot to jump into. So let's talk about the first story. It's a little bit of a painful one, and it's also confirming something that we also kind of knew, but let's talk about the original Battlefront 3. We've been kind of like a Star Wars mood here, right? I mean, you know. A current Naughty Dog game developer, specifically lead designer, formerly worked for Free Radical, the people who were working on the original canceled Battlefront 3, and they have officially went on the record. Kind of just confirming what we all knew, but Michael Barclay said, and I quote, "I feel like it's been long enough now to come out and say Star Wars Battlefront 3 was gonna be legit incredible, and the fact that it got canceled 2 yards from the finish line is an absolute crime. Gamers don't know what they were robbed of." So for a lot of people, this was pretty surprising stuff, but for some of us weird Star Wars nerds out there, you know that this is the case. We knew that this game was pretty far along. There's so much stuff floating around out there, like half-done trailers, tons of gameplay footage, some beautiful concept art with some incredibly cool what-if Star Wars ideas, like a dark Obi-Wan, like a Darth Vader-style Obi-Wan. There's so much out there. We've talked about it before in the past, but Michael's essentially just confirming what we all really knew. Check out the Twitter thread that he did. I'll link it in the description down below. Some other developers have been kind of chiming in and confirming that and talking about Battlefront and just what it could have been. And it's unfortunate because, just so you know, we're not talking about a new Battlefront 3 like a follow-up to the last recent Battlefront 2. No. We're talking original Battlefront 3. It's so weird that I have to say that now, but
you confused me.
Oh no. Yes, there was a time before the Battlefront games where there were other Battlefront games that were incredible. And there was going to be a third one, and alas, that's where we're at. It was a really ambitious game. People have called it an absolute crime that it's not out. And unfortunately, it's just another casualty of like the old ways, the old LucasArts and everything. Basically, don't know what you got till it's gone. Next up, let's talk about an interesting little tidbit, a little rumor, a suggestion, if you will, from the Games Mess podcast. This is specifically Mike Minotti and Jeff Grubb, who has been on the record and has leaked and confirmed a lot of things in the past. And he had some interesting things to say about Microsoft specifically being unhappy with the state of Xbox, the performance of Xbox, if you will. When Mike asked him if Microsoft is happy with Xbox currently, he said, and I quote, "I can tell you they are not. They're upset. You know, they didn't release a first-party game last year, and if that doesn't affect you, if you always have something to play again, that's awesome, but a lot of people do regret getting their Xbox." Big words, and it's a little bit hard to tell in this specific instance if it's something that he's heard or if it's just his guesstimation, but there's a good chance that he may have heard that from an inside source because he's gotten some scoops and stuff before, but regardless, I guess it may not come as the biggest surprise. I'm sure Microsoft and Xbox both wish they were releasing more like heavy-hitting first-party titles at a consistent clip, but that's where that's at. But we also got another tidbit out of that, specifically about Hi-Fi Rush. You know, the game that was shadow dropped on Xbox and PC. It's the Tango Gameworks game, the rhythm-based action game. I really love it, just full disclaimer. And the game did get a lot of buzz and people really liked it, but apparently it didn't do well enough. According to Jeff Grubb, it didn't make the money it needed to make. And that leads to more questions, you know, like what is the result of that? Because I do remember it popping off on Steam on the PC side, but, you know, there's plenty of speculation to be had there. The fact that it was on Game Pass, so people just played it there, you know, I'm not a sales analyst, I'm not that type of guy, but that's an interesting thing to note. And if we're also on the Xbox page right now, from some court documents, thanks to all the stuff going on with the Activision Blizzard acquisition, we did get kind of word from those documents that Xbox is working on a mysterious sequel that they are saying could take 10 years to make. Now, most people are saying that's probably the next Elder Scrolls game, right? Like they have Bethesda now. That's going to be a seemingly very long thing to develop. That's what a lot of people are thinking. I'd say either that or that wild, weird, Perfect Dark announcement from a while back that they were calling like a bigger than a AAA type game with a bunch of studios working on it. Like, I don't know. It's probably Elder Scrolls, but that's my second guess. Also, to be fair, just a really quick last-minute update. Xbox did officially respond to this claim. Aaron Greenberg came out on social media and kind of said that's not the case, and that Hi-Fi Rush did really well for them. So there's that side of the story as well. So we'll see where that goes. A lot of speculation, a lot of this, a lot of that, but no one is safe this week because Sony also has been getting slammed by some PC gamers in certain regions who have seen price increases. Yeah, I really mean it. No one is safe, especially from these price increases. This is a bummer. A lot of people have been reporting from like the main games that you can buy that are Sony published, that are on Steam in various countries. The prices have gone up. I don't really have too much more to say or report on that other than just like, damn. Shit, pour one out for our wallets, I guess. But we also wanted to share kind of a follow-up to a story we talked about months back. This found footage style first-person game. We now got a new look at it, a new gameplay trailer, and it's called Unrecord. And essentially, it's a very realistic type thing where like you're this police detective, and it's a body cam footage game where you're running around realistic environments and seemingly shooting bad guys. It's really crazy, and it led to some speculation on social media that it is not real, but the developer has posted more proof. And essentially, if you do look closely and past the filters and visual stuff, it seems like it's an Unreal Engine 5 game. They've confirmed it's Unreal Engine 5, but it seems like it's really taking advantage of the Unreal Engine 5 tech. This style of game is very cool. There's also a horror game in the works that is also using this style. And we're curious to see if this thing ever comes out and if more games do actually finally release like this, because Unrecord, as of right now, doesn't have a publisher, but it seems a little bit more real than some other games we've talked about in the news recently. So there's that. And again, if you want to check that out and everything I talk about today, all of it is going to be linked down there in the description. But going back to before, RIP our wallets with the price of video games. If we're talking about people emptying their wallets, it's Atari right now. Yes, believe it or not, Atari is actually kind of doing this like multi-year plan to kind of completely revamp their company, the corporation, the whole thing. And part of that is with a big acquisition of a ton of games. They just wrapped up an acquisition of over 100 PC and console games, just running the gamut from like the 80s to the 90s. And the main ones that hit the headlines are Bubsy, believe it or not, Hardball, Demolition Racer.
You telling me I can play new Bubsy soon?
You think Atari's gonna greenlight a Bubsy sequel? Is that what we need? There's a bunch of stuff, a lot of it tied specifically to Atari's history. It's them getting back a lot of stuff, but it's also worth pointing out that they got the rights to both GTI and Accolade. Accolade was a big publisher developer from like the 80s, 90s up to like right when the 2000s start. So that's a thing. What does this mean? I don't know, but I've seen a lot of industry players just kind of quietly keeping an eye on what Atari is doing. I don't really care at this point. I don't have a horse in the race, but it is nice to see the Atari brand trying to do something cool and respectable now, and just staying alive, because Atari is a pretty important part of video game history. I'm sure they've been surviving just fine on, all of the dads that buy those Atari shirts from Target. Do you remember they also made gamer hats with speakers in them? They made like fitted hats, and they had speakers in the rim. It's awesome. I mean, I would never wear it, but yeah, that was them. Hey, next up, this episode is sponsored by Vessi. This time of year, the weather has been all over the place. Here in New York especially, it's been raining like constantly, so you might be like me, worried about trashing your sneakers. But with a pair of Vessis, you don't even have to think twice. They check a lot of boxes, but what you really need to know is that they're versatile, lightweight, comfortable, while also being 100% waterproof thanks to Dymatex technology. But comfort and breathability is not sacrificed here, and they still keep your feet dry. They can help prove to you that wet weather isn't always a bad thing. It's just another opportunity, and these get you outside more. These are the types of shoes I just slip on any time of year, any season, and when I just want to get up and go. I got them on right here. These are a little dirty, but thankfully they clean really easy, again, because they're waterproof. Vessi has been a longtime sponsor of the show, and if you can't tell here, I just love wearing these things into the ground, because they can take it, and they have a shoe style, variety, size, color for every preference. So if you want to check them out, head to vessi.com/gameranx and use code gameranx for 15% off your order. So click the link in the description down below, or again, head to vessi.com/gameranx, use that code gameranx, and big thanks to Vessi for sponsoring our videos. Unfortunately, more bummer news. As you know, a lot of tech companies have been continuing to make layoffs to cut costs and like save themselves and stuff. I don't know what's going on with that, but Meta, or Facebook, or whatever you want to call it, has underwent another round of significant layoffs, and unfortunately some VR developers were hit, specifically Ready at Dawn. According to employees, a third of the Ready at Dawn workforce has been cut, and that really sucks. Apparently also some significant leadership roles have been gutted. Ready at Dawn, for those of you that don't know, was acquired by Meta. A lot of people forget that. They were working on the Lone Echo games, but they're also the developer of some classic PSP and like games like the Daxter spin-off game, the God of War PSP games, and then of course they made one of my favorites, believe it or not, The Order 1886. So this sucks to see. I almost wonder if there's like an alternate history where Sony kept them around and they didn't get gutted, but that's where that's at. But also, it's worth pointing out that Sony did acquire a new studio. They just announced this week that they've acquired Firewalk Studios, and they are apparently working on a big multiplayer project with Sony. They actually signed on for this project a while back, but now it's a full acquisition, and it's seemingly one of the games that Sony has talked about where they're trying to double down into having some competitive live service online multiplayer type games. It seems like Firewalk is going to be working on one of those. This is another support studio that they've recently purchased. They just announced another one like a week or so ago. So yeah, moves are being made there, but it might be a while before we actually see what these studios come up with. Now, in other news, Capcom held like a showcase type thing for Street Fighter 6, and as of right now, there is a demo. Street Fighter 6 demo is available specifically on PlayStation platforms, and you're going to also be able to download it if you have Xbox or PC on the 26th, but that's just something if you're looking to do something this weekend, go have fun. Along with that, Diablo announced that they are bringing back their beta in May for a couple of days, so if you missed the last boat, now's your shot. And if we're just talking about cool stuff that released, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp has dropped from Nintendo. We've been waiting for this one for quite some time, and that is a hell of a good chunk of game to dive into. If you're into that type of thing, definitely consider checking it out. We haven't actually played the re-release yet, but the original was dope, so there's that. Also, Horizon's big DLC is out. I totally forgot it was coming out. Horizon Burning Shores. We did a before you buy. I didn't write the review for that one, but if you do want to check it out, that will be linked in the description down below with everything. And Dead Island 2 is finally releasing. This game was announced at like E3 2014. It went through development hell and multiple studios, and it's out and it's all right. It's fairly decent. It's a pretty straightforward zombie killing game. So check out our review. Check out some others. Decide before you buy. But yeah, go nuts, have fun, killing some zombies. You do you. But in other news, Sega and Lego have made an announcement of some Sonic the Hedgehog themed Lego sets. They seem all right. I've seen some Sonic fans hoping they did a little more. These seem very much geared towards kids, but that is a thing. I just want to point out, when I saw like the trailer announcement on YouTube posted from like IGN, I thought it was a Sonic the Hedgehog Lego game. That would be really cool. That's what I wanted. I got clickbaited.
You were very upset.
I was like, oh, Lego Sonic game. Yeah. And weirdly enough, Warner Brothers announced a spin-off Harry Potter Quidditch game, which I guess explains why Quidditch was closed in Hogwarts Legacy. But this game, we don't know too much about it other than that they are opening up signups for playtesting. It's going to be a competitive multiplayer Quidditch game with customizable characters and stuff, but we don't know when it's coming out yet. But Nintendo also had an indie showcase, and no Hollow Knight Silksong. Damn.
Game's not real.
It is real. But is it?
No, I don't think it is.
I don't... God. We're going to play that one day, but still, despite all that, don't lose sight of the fact that they did announce some really cool games here. Only have a couple of minutes to really dive into what was there, but it's worth pointing out that there's a sequel to Blasphemous. It's Blasphemous 2, and it's coming this summer. Holy shit. Along with that, a follow-up to the people who made West of Loathing. I think we knew about this one, but we got to see a good look at it here at the showcase. It's called Shadows Over Loathing, and it's an RPG. It's bigger, big world, more customization, and just want to say the original game was slept on. It was really creative and funny and weird, so we're hoping this one is cool. But also, the sequel to Oxenfree. Yeah, Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. It is a Netflix-published game, which is crazy to say, but this is actually dropping fairly soon, July 12th of this year. And also, something really cool that snuck in at the showcase that is worth highlighting, Rush Cyberfunk got a release date. This is kind of like the spiritual successor game inspired by the Jet Set games. So just cool, weird, quirky grinding on rollerblades or whatever to cool music. I am just about those types of games. And this is releasing August 18th, 2023. So a lot of games to look forward to. It seems like there's always a steady trickle of something to play, at least in my opinion, if you like a couple of different genres. But that's all we got today. There's a lot of stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about everything, from the suggestion or rumor that Microsoft is not happy with the state of Xbox and releases, to Sony making acquisitions, to former Sony developers Ready at Dawn getting layoffs, to Atari's moves. Like, what do you think? Could Atari become a major player again? Let's talk about anything at all down in the comments, and specifically new game releases. Are you jumping into Dead Island 2 or Advance Wars? Whatever you're playing this weekend, new or old, we have like a pinned comment thing. Comment on that thread and let us know what you're playing. It's for our research. Thank you. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thank you guys for being here. You know we're in the comments as much as possible, but things get a little crazy. So if you want to yell at me directly, find me on Instagram at Jake Baldino, my other YouTube channel, Jake Baldino, and the Friends Per Second podcast. But that's it. I got to go. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Pizza's on me. Oh, my stomach is actually growling. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but that was wild. Pizza time.